Hi, thanks for coming to talk to me about Addie's development today. I've created a learning portfolio on Addie and it reveals really pleasing results about her development. I'll just get you to have a little look through it. I wanted to talk to you first a little bit about our planning process. I know that our planning cycle is being discussed with you before at our welcome nights, but I wanted to touch base a little bit about authentic assessment, and I wanted to talk specifically about what this learning profile means for Addie's learning. In the past, teachers have assessed children using documents such as checklists, so you're just ticking a box, yes or no, whether children are achieving something, or they specifically set up an experience to test children. But it's been found that these sorts of assessment mechanisms, they don't really give us enough information. Authentic assessment, which is what we've been using, it essentially is observing children in their daily routine in a familiar and authentic place such as the classroom. This means we're observing more of children's strengths and challenges in their everyday setting. We use documents, as you would have seen, like the learning story and the parent conversations, running records, just general observations.
Yep.
And the benefit of this is that we're not interrupting children's play and learning. We're observing throughout the day as children continue to play and explore. So as far as Addie's development goes in using the authentic assessment, we observed her as a really busy, confident child. As we've discussed before, Addie has a strong interest in letters, drawing, books, and her recall memory is really quite extraordinary. Her interest and strength in her emerging literacy was something I wanted to focus and build on. Educators, we like to plan experiences based on children's interests. Research tells us that children learn best when learning experiences appeal to them, so they become engaged in the experience. When we observe children's interests and use it as a foundation of our curriculum decision making, it ensures that learning is interesting as well as meaningful and relevant to the children. Based on Addie's interest in rhyming books, I selected some books that I thought would appeal to her. Simple books that include rhyme and repetition that I know are popular among children her age.
Yep.
We read them to her, we kept them in the book corner, and following this I documented a learning story, which is in here.
Yep.
And you know, the learning story just really demonstrated that Addie, using her recall memory, she retells the story of we're going on a bear hunt. And this learning story plus the conversation we had that's also documented in there just reveals Addie's emerging literacy skills are really positive. And they're really progressing well according to the developmental milestones. Addie is able to retell a story and she's beginning to understand how a book works. She can read picture storybooks from memory. She's beginning to understand that letters represent speech sounds, match sounds to letters. Her ability to retell a story also demonstrates really sound concentration skills and the ability to listen and recall. The evaluation of the assessment also demonstrates that Addie is strongly meeting many of the early learning years framework outcomes. So I'll just give you a copy of the EYLF.
Thanks.
Basically, the EYLF is for educators working with children birth to 5 years,
Yep.
and we just follow this national framework. It's developed to support educators to provide children with the opportunity to maximise the potential and development a foundation for future success in learning. There's 5 outcomes in the framework and they're designed to capture the integrated and complex learning development across the birth to 5 years age range. It acknowledges children learning different ways, just like the authentic assessment that we talked about earlier. And I think it's really important for you to know that the EYLF emphasises that children's learning is ongoing and every child will progress towards the outcomes in different but equally meaningful ways. These learning outcomes allow us to view children's learning in a holistic way. So although the focus on the assessment was Addie's emerging literacy skills and her literacy skills can clearly be linked to learning outcome 5, children are effective communicators. However, looking at the observations holistically, her learning story revealed other areas of development across the learning outcomes, particularly learning outcome 1, children have a strong sense of identity. As you probably already know, Addie is so kind, and this learning story, it shows her empathising and expressing concern for others, shows like a really compassionate nature as she's like interacting with her friends. Play has a really important influence on literacy development, so to support Addie further in her literacy skills, there's some activities that I will provide in the room, such as placing writing resources in the play areas, providing like print, books and posters in a variety of different languages. I'm going to label the room with large signs like window, door, block corner, and having a writing area just with a variety of materials that she can explore. Further to this, I will continue to read on a regular basis. Reading and telling stories to children fosters a passion for reading. It supports emerging literacy development. It helps develop imagination, encourages social and personal development, listening skills. It supports children to understand new or difficult concepts, and also it's just a really pleasant experience for children. Following her interest on rhyming books, I'd also introduce Addie to finger plays, rhymes and poems, and I really want to focus on oral storytelling. So rather than reading the book, I would tell the story verbally and using sign language, which is a really valuable approach for developing oral language skills in children.
Okay, so what can we do as parents to help encourage Addie's development?
Yep, so the evaluation of my assessment also revealed that you are contributing really well to Addie's development. Her strong emerging literacy skills can be linked to a theorist called Vygotsky and his socio-cultural theory. Vygotsky states that the adult's role is extremely significant in contributing to children's learning and development. And in regards to assessment, rather than focusing on the child individually, the focus is on how children learn through their social interactions within a certain environment. In particular, Vygotsky focused on language development, and he highlights that communication with adults makes language more meaningful, and that children's language development transpires in their social and cultural context. So linking this theory to my current assessment of Addie, I can see that our partnership is supporting and encouraging Addie's literacy development, so it's really important that we continue these conversations. Children's capability of reading and writing, it's not a natural process, and it's a skill that is taught. So if a child comes from a home where reading and writing is considered an essential and important skill, they're more likely to develop successful literacy skills. So therefore her interest in letters, her successful retelling of stories, that fascination in rhyming books, it can all be attributed to her literacy-rich environment. And so it's necessary for you to continue all these things at home to support with that this emerging literacy development that we can see in the profile. The next area I want to focus on is Addie's gross motor development.
Right, are her gross motor skills okay? Because we've noticed she's been a bit clumsy and we're a little bit worried.
Yeah, no, nothing to worry about. The assessment showed Addie's developing well. I documented just an anecdotal observation and a checklist, but the checklist allowed for further notes rather than the yes-no answer. And when I evaluated the assessment, it demonstrates to me Addie's physical development is proficient, results reveal positive outcomes in her gross motor development, she's meeting the developmental milestones and comparing well to current research in physical development for her age group. Her confident climbing really stands out in the observations. She demonstrates confidence and skill as she climbs up the A-frame. And it's further supported by your comments about her climbing to the highest slide at the park. She shows strength as she's holding on to the monkey bars. Her developmental checklist reveals she's able to complete most gross motor skills within her age bracket. She can kick a ball, she's walking, running, jumping, catching a ball that's being rolled to her. So as you expressed, Addie's observations do show that her balance can be a bit of a challenge for her. However, her determination to continue to participate in activities like the log stepping stones and her strong achievement in the other gross motor skills means she should be able to accomplish this skill in the near future. I think it will be beneficial for Addie to engage in a variety of gross motor activities that will support her balance. So the research suggests that although maturation is a significant factor in child's physical development, there are other environmental influences that contribute to development. So your input revealed how you think that development is really important. So obviously you're aware that your yard at home isn't really sufficient for Addie to be learning new skills. So those regular trips to the park that you've been making help her practice a range of gross motor development activities. It's really important and it's definitely contributing to Addie's positive development. Again, if we look at Addie's development compared to the EYLF, the assessment focus was on Addie's gross motor skills, but the observations further reveal Addie's development across a range of areas, particularly, again, learning outcome 1. Children have a strong sense of identity. Addie shows she can persist when she's challenged with something. If the first attempt's not successful, she can recognise individual achievements and share celebrations and achievements with others. Also learning outcome 2, children are connected with and contribute to their world. Addie displays a sense of comfort in her environment. She's playful, she responds positively to others. She's reaching out for company and friendship. We can also link it to learning outcome 3, children have a strong sense of well-being. So Addie's observations, the checklist, the family feedback, it's all demonstrating she's happy, healthy, she's safe and connected to others. She's engaging in complex sensory motor skills and movement patterns, and her spatial awareness. She can orientate moving herself around the environment confidently and safely, and shows enthusiasm for participating in physical play. It's recommended that preschoolers should be physically active every day for at least 3 hours throughout the day, and so it's important for us to remember, as in early childhood, it's a really critical period for the development of fundamental movement skills. When I'm planning for Addie, I've just committed to including physical activity and skill development as an essential part of the centre's daily routine. There's some strategies I'd put in place to continue to support Addie and all the children in the program with their physical development. So creating an outdoor area that's inviting to children and will promote activity is really important. So my focus is sort of on the sand pit and gross motor activities like climbing frames, planks, mats. Also structured movement lessons, so music and movement, we do some yoga, we've got a sport program. All these enhance gross motor development. The activities allow children to further explore body awareness and control. Physically, it enhances flexibility, strength, coordination, requires concentration, and I think Addie will really benefit from these. Again, we discussed before, you're very aware of how important physically active play is. So if you just continue to take her to the park and maybe even think about enrolling her in some sort of sports program, soccer or swimming, maybe even dance, and this will help to support her gross motor skills and, you know, just sort of help with the challenges of her balance. But other than that, you know, we're really happy with how she's developing, she's doing really well. So that's all I really wanted to discuss today. If you have any more questions?
No, I don't think so. It all sounds really great. We're pretty happy with how Addie's developing and
Excellent.
look forward to hearing more about it.
Yeah, definitely we'll continue to discuss her development throughout the year. Thank you very much for coming.
No worries.